Hello Blade Knights, Clawblade here, and welcome to another Neverwinter guide video. In the last guide video, we went through races and classes for building a new character. In this video, we'll be looking at the next important pieces to creating your character, ability scores and ratings. These pieces will play a crucial role in determining your overall power and survivability in each zone. I'll be going over each score and rating, what they do, and how important each one is depending on the player battle type. This new rating system has been on preview server for about a month now, and as of making this video, the changes have gone live onto PC. The updated rating system will most likely launch a month from now onto consoles, so apologies if console viewers are seeing a different layout than what I'll be showing. This will give you some time to prepare your character for the update at the very least. So be sure to critical hit that like button if you find this video helpful. Also, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you want to interact with me live, come follow me over on Twitch. Link will be in the description below. And with all that said, let's jump into the ratings. Now for the ratings, I will be starting with those first rather than the ability scores, because it gives a little bit more context into what the stats are, so you understand. So all your stats are going to be determined by your item level. The closer your stats are to your item level, the more rating you have. In this case, your ratings can go up to 50%. Anything higher, you can get those through boons, companions, mounts, and consumables. Alright, so our first rating we're going to take a look at is power. Now, power is probably the most important offensive stat, as it determines your damage and healing. Most people are going to try and cap this first and all the other ones later. Next we have accuracy, which determines on how accurate your attacks are. The higher that this stat is, the more damage you deal from enemies after deflected attacks. Next we have combat advantage, which determines how much extra damage you deal when you're in an advantageous or a flanking position. You can tell that you're in an advantageous or flanking position by looking at the enemy's base. If it's flashing blue or red, you're getting that bonus. So our next one is critical strike, and this is actually not so much a damage stat, more as a chance stat. So the higher that this stat is, the better chance you have of actually landing a critical strike. This also includes healing spells as well on your teammates. Next, we've got critical severity, which is actually how much damage you will be doing if you land a critical strike. So the higher that this is, the higher your critical strike will be. All right, so now we move on to the defensive ratings, and the first one being defense is probably, like power, the most important. This will determine how much damage you take from attacks. The higher that this rating is, the less damage you take. Next, we've got awareness, and awareness is the flip side to combat advantage. So having this on will determine how much damage you take from combat advantage attacks. So the higher that this is, the less damage you take. Next, we've got critical avoidance, and this will determine how much damage you take when a critical hit is landed. It's not going to determine if they manage to critically strike, just how much damage you take when they do. So our next one is deflect, and like critical strike, deflect is another chance stat. So this increases your chance of deflecting an incoming attack. Deflect severity is pretty much the same thing as critical severity. This will determine how much damage you actually deflect. Our next and our newest ability is Forte. Now this is an interesting one, as since they have gotten rid of companion bonding bonuses, this is kind of taking its place. So this will change depending on what type of Paragon path you choose for your class. I'll try and provide a table in the description below for you guys so you can actually see, but basically depending on your Paragon path, it will provide you with benefits to 3 different stats for your character. So in this case, for my Paladin tank, being a Justicar, it's going to be increasing my defense, critical strike, and deflect severity. All right, next we've got control bonus, which, as it says, determines the potency of your control powers. Now, most classes don't run with control powers. I think just, as far as I can tell, just wizards run, maybe a few others, but it's not a huge deal for most classes to have a high control bonus. Control resist, on the other hand, that's probably a different story, as lots of enemies do have control abilities, so it's good to have a good control resist as it'll determine how effective they are against you. All right, next we got the incoming healing, which increases the potency of healing spells cast on you. So the higher that this stat is, the more healing you receive from healing attacks. Next, we've got outgoing healing, and this is especially useful for healers like paladins and clerics. The higher that this stat is, the higher or the more amount of healing that you give out in your abilities. All right, so I'll quickly go over the boosts now, since they don't have any actual ratings, but you can increase them by other means like companions, mounts, boons, and ability scores. So the first boost, I should say, is action point gain. Now this will determine how fast you regain your action meter to be able to spam your dailies. Recharge speed pretty much determines how quickly your encounter powers recharge, those that have a cooldown timer. Your movement speed obviously determines how quickly you run when not on a mount. This does not affect mount movement speed. Stamina regen is pretty important, especially for tanks, I find, as you're using your stamina meter a lot for blocking attacks. So the higher that this is, the faster that you gain your stamina meter back. Magical damage boost just increase the amount of damage that you deal with magical attacks. So most attacks like that are from ranged, like warlocks, wizards, and clerics. Physical damage boost, pretty much as it says, increase the amount of physical damage you deal. So anything that has a melee attack, like rogues, paladins, barbarians, fighters, anything that's up close, it's hitting them, it's counting as physical damage. XP bonus, very nice to have if you're still leveling up, just increases the amount of XP you gain from all sources. Gold bonus, pretty much the same thing, increase the amount of gold that you gain from all sources. And then same goes for glory. Glory you earn from PvP sessions. All right, so that takes care of ratings and boosts. As I said before, the closer your rating is to your item level, the closer you are to that 50% cap. Anything else, you'd have to go through mounts, companions, and boons to get that up to 90%. 90% is the highest you can potentially get. 50% for the rating system. So next, we're going to move on to the ability scores. So these 6 stats right here are your ability scores. These will be determined by your race and class at the beginning, but you can adjust these either through level ups or the type of gear you use. So for starters, we have our strength. This one contributes to your stamina regeneration and physical damage boost. Great if you're a physical attacker DPS, or if you're like me, a tank that uses the stamina regen. Very useful. Next, you've got your constitution, which contributes to your maximum hit points and your action point gain. Again, for me as a tank, this is very useful. You want to have a lot of constitution, which equals a lot of health. Dexterity contributes to your critical severity as well as your movement speed. Now, you can use this for DPS classes, mostly for the critical severity. Movement speed isn't too bad. It's not a huge staple, but it's nice to have a little bit more speed than others. Next, you've got intelligence, which contributes to your control bonus and magical damage boost. Now, the only one I can think of that would benefit from this the greatest would definitely be wizards. Probably a little bit of warlocks too, but I'm definitely going to say wizards. Next, you've got your wisdom, which contributes to your control resist and your outgoing healing. This is going to be particularly useful for the outgoing healing on any healer classes like paladins and clerics. And then finally, we've got charisma. Now, charisma has changed a little bit. It used to offer companion influence to increase stats that you receive from companions, but since they have removed that from the game, they have changed it from companion influence to forte and recharge speed for your abilities. And that's everything. As I said earlier in the video, the ratings rework is now live on the PC and will be launching a month from now onto consoles. Hopefully those on console can take advantage of the extra time to prepare, or if you're just starting out, either on PC or console, we'll give you the information you need to properly build your new character. At the end of every video now, I'll be doing a question for everyone and anyone to answer, just to help build up community interaction. Today's question is, what is your favorite class you've played and why? Go ahead and share your answers in the comment section below. Be sure to leave a like if you found this video helpful, and if you want to catch more videos like this in the future, please consider subscribing. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitch, where you can interact with me live every weekend on Neverwinter and more. But thank you so much for watching, guys and gals, and I will see you all in the next video. Clawblade, signing off.